Hi, this is Elliot Fishman, and welcome to Facebook Live. I want to thank everybody for coming. I do apologize, I'm a couple minutes late. We were having a staff meeting and having a discussion really related to this topic. And I am home. You can hear the noise. They'll stop moving the chairs momentarily. One of the things that we all have been through 1 year of COVID now, one of the things that has changed as much as anything has been CME and how we do CME. And I thought I would just bring that up and have that as a discussion. In talking about CME, continuing medical education, there was always stuff you could do online for a number of years. And before there was a internet type thing, you could buy books, you could buy CDs, you could buy DVDs, you could buy things you erased. There were always changes in the technology for people to be able to do. But as the web came along, a lot more things became online. Now, a lot of them were recordings of lectures and some meetings. RSNA, for example, the Rank and Ray, would have record some of the lectures you can watch later and pay for CME credit. And there was some certain companies. ESI has been in the education business for 40 years probably, and they would sell refresher courses. They would sell things from San Diego, for example, or they would run an MR meeting or a CT meeting. So there was always stuff you could buy. In this past year, every meeting has been canceled in person, whether it's the biggest meetings from RSNA to smaller meetings like the Hopkins course. We canceled it. Okay. Now, we did it online 1 day rather than 4 days. Other meetings were totally canceled. Today or this week was the Society of Abdominal Radiology, always a very popular meeting in person. It was all remote. The Rank and Ray is in May, very important meeting, remote. The American College of Radiology, remote. I don't think you're going to see any meetings in person at best till the end, the last quarter of 2021, the year we're in. But reality tells me that that's going to be unlikely to have any significant numbers. RSNA says they're going to be in person, though it's not going to be the RSNA you and I think of. If they do it in person, you'll get thousands of people, not 60,000. And companies will not have booths that are 3 blocks long. They'll have little tables if they have anything at all. So the question is, how will CME come back, or will it come back? If you look at ourselves, I mentioned that I would give a conference twice a month on Wednesday to the faculty, get about 10 or 12 people. Now I do it every Wednesday. I do it on slides, and we have 35 to 40 people because the residents, the fellows, and people, in fact, like it better. They can see it well. If you're remote in a different building, if you're on one of our remote sites, if you're home, if you're in research, you could see everything and do everything where previously perhaps you could not, right? That's something that becomes really, really nice. Okay. So I think a lot of that's going to change. I think you're going to see in the future. I've listened to some discussions, not in the radiology or the medical realm, but in other fields, where for example, there's a meeting, Consumer Electronics Show, CES, that would get 230,000 people and take up all of Las Vegas. And they were saying, perhaps, it will happen, it will not happen in person this year. But in order for people to take off time and spend money and everything else, the in-person experience is going to have to improve. If the in-person experience is the same as getting online, people will get online. And I think what you're going to see is the idea of having a meeting where everything was in person probably is not going to happen. I think you're going to have some sort of hybrid that maybe not everything will be live or streamed, but a lot of things will. You're going to have to figure out a way is how to connect with the people who are not at the meeting, but at the same time, not provide an experience in person that's no better than being at home. If your meeting is simply 10 lectures a day, and I'm thinking about this, our, someone could watch a meeting I run and watch the lectures remotely or in person. I know you want to go to Disneyland. Okay, that's one reason. So a good place to have a meeting. Kill two birds with one stone, perhaps. but I need to figure out how to make the in-person experience special. Maybe it's the Q&A, maybe it's the fact that we get together at the coffee break. What things can I do to make the meeting special, which is different than people who are sitting at home? And I think that's going to be a very big challenge. Now, it's interesting, CTisus has been around for 22 years. We did Facebook Live before anybody. We did all of these lectures. We did all of these podcasts. We're the first people who did it. When Steve Jobs told me he had it, we did it 20 some odd years ago. Now, every society has copied what we're doing. So, everybody has it. How do you become unique? How do you provide information that's unique? How do you provide things that are indeed better? Now, one thing we've been speaking about is that, like right now, I'm speaking to you. It's really a one-way conversation. Now, you could ask questions. Now, many of you ask questions after I'm off the talk, but John Biacchino is home, so he's home. And if you put down a question, I'd love to answer it, but it's a little bit trickier, right? Because it's a one-way conversation. There is a new app, and it's called Clubhouse, and I'm just going to go on my phone, and you could see it way at the bottom of my thing here. There's something called Clubhouse. And if you look at it, there's a whole bunch of, I don't know how well you can see it, but there's some things that are going on. I'm not part of any of those one things. There's something called the sponsorship room, how to get brands for your creative. 276 people are there. Tech news around the world, 145 people. So there's so many different things, and I've been looking at the things, and sometimes they have thousands of people at night. And what it is a conversation where anybody can speak. There are no slides. There are no videos. All it is conversation. Now, to prevent 1,000 people from speaking at the same time and you can't hear anything, as the moderator, you can control who speaks. Give people the right to speak. They can raise their hand. You can let them speak. Now, we started about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Whitney and Lily and myself, trying to do Clubhouse. Now, there are several challenges with Clubhouse. Now, if you look up Clubhouse, it's unbelievable. The growth, everyone from Elon Musk is using it. And as I mentioned, some of them get thousands and thousands of people. Now, the challenges, and Lily just posted something about Clubhouse. There's 2 challenges. One, it only runs on iOS devices, so you need to have an iPhone. If you have an Android phone, at this time, it doesn't work. So that's a problem. Particularly, a lot of our friends outside the U.S. don't have iPhones. So for you, I can't help right now. Now, I'm told by Whitney that Clubhouse is working on a Android app. So that may come about relatively soon because they also don't want to cut off half the world or something like that. The other challenge is you need to be invited to join Clubhouse. It's kind of obnoxious. Now, the problem is what does it mean to be invited? Well, for example, myself, I have 5 invites a week, it looks like. So I would need to put someone's email down and invite them. Now, I have been inviting people I know. Obviously, you don't invite people you don't know. But not everybody has signed up. Some people like Sheila Sheth has signed up. Because when I looked at the invite from me, I swear it looks like spam because it's yellow and it's red and it's black. And it says, Elliot wants you to come and join, and it has some really cool words. But if I looked at that, and when I was invited by my daughter, if I didn't know she was sending it, I didn't open it. So what I need to do is I need to invite people, but send them a note saying, hey, I'm sending you this. Why don't you join us? So if you send through on CTisus, if you send it to me or to Lily or Sarah, your email that you want to join, we'll try to have you join. Between all of us, we have about 10 invites a week, but it's a start. We can get people, and what we're doing is we're meeting every Tuesday, so we're going to be very repetitive at 8 p.m. And what we're going to come up with is also the topics that we're going to discuss. Rather than everybody show up and kind of stutter about what we should talk about, one thing we have is Hopkins speakers. So the speaker series I ran, we had Stu, we had one of the greatest talks this past week, but we've had many good talks. So I think what I'm going to do is on CTisus, on the Facebook page, we're going to talk about Clubhouse. Lily's going to post some stuff, and we're also going to refer you to an article, and we'll give you the reference. So we've had about 50 speakers, And each of the speakers was incredible, and you could learn a lot from those speakers. So if you look at the articles we publish in JACR, we have the discussion. We have the discussion of what the speaker spoke about, and then that's about 1,200 words, and then about 300 words. We translate that into radiology, what it means to us. So I think that becomes very important, and so we could use that as a stepping stone. And what I'm interested in having is not me be the moderator, because I can moderate enough things, but have other people be the moderator, because the moderator, in some sense, controls direction. And we want to have a range of people's direction. So that becomes a very important thing. So it's worthwhile looking at it. If you just go to the App Store, assuming you have an iOS device, and type in Clubhouse, you can download it, take a look at it, and read about it. If you don't know anything about it, you could also just type in Clubhouse app on Google search, and it'll talk to you about it. There'll be a lot of different articles about what people are doing and what the opportunities are. So I think it's a really, really good thing. And I think as we speak about CME, now you're not going to get CME from being on Clubhouse, but I think it's another way of us getting together and talking, and the conversation not being me talking to you, but all of us talking together. So I think it's really a good opportunity. And I think John Biachino, John, you weren't there this week, but I think I sent you an invite. If not, let me know, and we will send you an invite. So I think that becomes very, very important. In terms of time, we just picked 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. There's nothing special about that. We just thought this way people who have kids, the kids are sleeping already. People are settled in. There's no more of the hustle bustle. And maybe it's a good time just to tune in. Now, you don't have to speak. If you just want to go and listen what people are talking about, you mute yourself. I can't unmute you unless you want to be unmuted. And you could just listen and hear what people are saying. You could agree or disagree. But we'd love to have you join us. And I think it's a way that we can expand CTisus. It's also a way to really, as we look at ways of improving communication and improving teaching, I think it's a good thing to do. As I mentioned many times, we keep looking at ways of doing things differently. So, for example, right now you see me and I got a haircut, right? But I haven't shaven. I'm growing a beard for the first time in my life. It'll probably take me like 5 years to get a little bit of fuzz. But I think one of the things that we have been trying, and I mentioned every third Thursday of the month, we are going to do a case quiz. And I did it last week, and we did it a couple of times before. And we found that people really like the quizzes. Now, I don't know about if I could post a quiz before so people can think about the cases. That may not work well, but surely I'll give you a little bit of a pause to think about the case as I show the images, and then I'll do the discussions. We'll do between 5 and 10 cases, depending how difficult and how complicated the cases are. But I think that's something we are going to do. And again, it's a way of getting people to participate, because then you could, at least in your mind, think about the case, make a decision, and then see what the right answer is. So we're really excited about that, and we're really excited that people like it. That becomes very important to us. Again, Lily and Sarah, myself, are really interested in your comments. I think it's very important to us. If you have suggestions, ideas, what we do right, what we do wrong, what we should do better. If you've seen something that someone else is doing and you think we should do it, tell us. We don't think we know everything, and we are also willing to try nearly everything. Our goal is not that we know how to do everything. We're constantly learning, and it's the feedback we get that becomes very, very important to us. So I think we really want to know what you think and what you want us to do. So now's a good time. We're kind of running out of my time slot here, but now's a great time to ask any questions if you have any questions. We're in the end of March. So next week, April 1st is here, which means a new CTisus quiz, which means our new CTisus pearls, which means our new CTisus references for the month. So lots of new material coming in the middle of next week. I think that's going to be very exciting. I think it should work out very, very well. So we're very, very excited about that. And again, it's our job to really try to meet everyone's needs and everyone's demands. So let's see. Anyone have any questions? John Biacchino, what's happening? How are you doing? So John is one of our great techs, and he's home today, so he's probably goofing off or something, which is a good thing to do on a so-so Thursday. It was supposed to be really warm here today. It's just really wet. It poured cats and dogs yesterday and last night as well. So I think we're just kind of drying out here. So anyway, so why don't we stop there? And again, also, I'm interested in what you think about CME. Going back to the title of this talk, will you be going to a CME course in person? Will your group pay for your course? Do you think it's really possible? Um, that's an interesting question because should we be running meetings or should we give up and just do everything remote? Okay, now Lily has written me a note um, about what topics should we have next week. And her suggestion is women in radiology. So I'm going to go with Lily and we'll talk about women in radiology. And I will not be the person moderating that talk. And I'll have to ask maybe Sheila Chef from NYU to do it. So let's see. Hassan Basso, just join you. What will we discuss? Okay, well, I think every week will be something different. We'll post it, I think, as I just mentioned, we'll do women in radiology, which is a very hot topic these days. And just women in the workplace is something that's a really hot topic because one of the things I know from my daughter, as kids have been home, as people have been stressed, women, let's be realistic, men, husband and wife is not a 50-50 deal, no matter how much you say it. Um, the women have greater responsibility. That's just the way it is. And they've been the ones who've taken the brunt of having to do childcare and sacrifice their careers and academics. There's an issue about promotion, things like that will all be addressed, giving people more time to catch up. So I think people have worked very hard this year. Some people have worked harder than others. The family, if your kids are not in school, I mean, it has been a disaster trying to keep them entertained 24/7 for 1 year. So I think people deserve a lot of credit for everything they've been able to do. And let's see, John Biacchino says Disney is a must. So, and I agree with you, John. I love meetings. I had to cancel maybe like 25 places I would have been in the past year or more. So I do like meetings, and I hope meetings will come back. And I am trying hard to make sure that our meeting, I just don't feel that I could do a meeting in February 2022. It's a little bit too high risk, I think. But I think maybe I could do an in-person meeting in May or June 22. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. We'll see how the latest virus numbers are. I think things are going to take a little bit longer. I know people are a little bit edgy. 70% of people, 70% of air traffic was back to normal, within 70% of normal, rather. But that's the highest numbers since the pandemic hit. So I think people are tired of being in place, and it's going to hard to hold people down, particularly as more and more people get vaccinated. So the safety is going to be on your side. So we shall see how that works. But many places, most academic institutions, including Hopkins, I'm not allowed to travel for business, so I could not give a lecture if you wanted me to. So things will have to change to let things open up. Anyway, I thank everybody for their attention, and you have any questions or comments, post them, and I'll try to answer your comments. And those of you who watch this later, or who watch this on our site on YouTube or the Apple Store, just wherever you're watching us, you have any questions, put them down. And I do check the question list every couple days, so I'll make sure I answer the questions. And with that, have a great day.